Most people believe that holding a skill for 3 seconds is enough to make progress. But is that really true? In this video, I will explain everything you need to know about hold times so you know exactly how long you need to hold to gain strength and learn skills. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be giving you the complete guide to isometrics in calisthenics. We will start by breaking down what is an isometric hold actually is, then talk about why is it so important to choose the correct hold times for your exercises. I'll also be giving you the comparison and the explanation how hold time actually translates to reps, then show you the different ranges of holds you can use, showing you the downside and the upside of each one, and explain how it applies to calisthenics specifically. After that, I'll be showing you how to implement all of this into your training by firstly showing you how to measure your hold times correctly and apply all of the knowledge specifically to your goals. And so you have a comparison, I will be also showing what I do in my own training. So let's get into it. Before we go any further, let's break down what is an isometric hold actually is. Basically, an isometric hold is when a muscle is under tension but is not moving. You're holding a position instead of going up or down like in a rep. If you start moving while holding the position, even just a little, it's not longer an isometric. It becomes a dynamic exercise. A classic example of this is holding the top position of a pull-up, keeping your chin over the bar without moving. In calisthenics, it could be holding a front lever or a planche, or something as simple as just holding a plank. The key here is that your muscles are working hard to maintain the position, and your mind is working hard by maintaining the right muscle activation while still maintaining your breathing. Now that we know what is an isometric hold is, let's talk about why choosing the correct hold time is so important for your training. The length of your hold completely changes what you get from the exercise. Holding a position for 8 seconds isn't going to yield the same effect as holding a position for 30 seconds. The right hold time helps you build the necessary strength or even improves control for your specific goal without overloading your muscles or risking injury. Choosing the correct hold times helps you progress faster and in a structured way. Essentially, picking the right hold time is about getting the most out of your effort by staying safe and making measurable progress. Okay, now that we understand the importance of choosing the correct hold time, let's talk about how they compare to actual reps. With dynamic exercises, we usually measure our progress with reps. But with isometrics, it's all about how long did you hold the position for. So it works like this. Around 2 seconds of hold is equivalent to 1 rep. But in my own training experience, I believe it's closer to 2.5 seconds. For example, if you held a position for around 10 seconds, that will translate to 4 reps of actual work. Now, why is it so important? Because once we know how many reps our hold times translates to, we know which rep range we are actually training in, whether it's strength, hypertrophy, or endurance, which is critical if we want to accomplish our goals. And now it's time to get into all of those ranges. But before we get into the main benefits of each one, let's quickly cover a range I personally don't recommend using, which is the 1 to 2 seconds range. And the main reason for it is because it's equivalent to 1 rep or even less, which is not enough to build significant strength. Where we see this in practice is when you try a new exercise for the first time and you can barely hold it for 1 to 2 seconds without immediately falling. That is something that typically only happens when you're testing your max strength, which you shouldn't be doing every week. That said, this short of a hold can still be applied in a useful way, not as a standalone hold, but as a pause during a dynamic movement. Adding a 1 to 2 seconds pause at a certain point of the range of motion can help you develop control and awareness at that specific position. The next range, which is the 3 to 5 seconds range, has the same problems as the last one. It's still too short. Again, if you do the conversion, it's still around 2 reps or even less than that, which is still less than 3 reps, which is the minimum I recommend for building strength. The difference, however, is that this range is often seen as the standard for officially unlocking a skill. If you can hold a movement for at least 3 seconds with some control, that's when people usually say you have to move. To be honest, this range has only one situation where it could be useful, when your goal is only doing a skill for maximum 5 seconds. In that case, training in this range makes more sense towards the very end, when you're close to unlocking the movement. But again, this range should seem as something you test once in a while, when you think you have enough strength to officially unlock a skill for the first time. Okay, now let's talk about the strength ranges, which are 6 to 10 and 10 to 15. Both are strength oriented, but each one comes with different benefits and downsides. The 6 to 10 range feels a lot more intense because you're under heavy tension from the start. This makes the hold harder to control. Still, if you only go until your form breaks down and stop right there, the 6 to 10 seconds range can still be an excellent choice. The 10 to 15 seconds range, on the other hand, starts off a bit easier, which makes it better for focusing on body awareness and technique at the start of the hold. It's also slightly easier to progress the overload on this range compared to the last one, since the percentage of gain you'll need to do each week is slightly smaller. The only real downside of holding for more than 10 seconds is that it could be tougher mentally. It requires more focus to maintain good form and awareness for that long. But if you can overcome this, the 10 to 15 seconds range becomes the better option. And here is the key difference between the two. Most of the time, when you push close to your limits, your form only breaks down in the last part of the hold. That means that if you hold for more than 10 seconds, you will still have enough clean hold before that happens, making it very acceptable to go to failure. But if you hold less than that, you wouldn't have enough time to accumulate clean volume, which is why the 6 to 10 seconds range is better used for only clean holds, stopping the moment your techniques breaks down. That way more than half of your hold isn't with poor form. The next range, which is the 15 to 30 seconds range, is often seen as the hypertrophy range. The theory behind that is when you convert it to reps, 15 to 30 seconds equals to 8 or even more reps, which places it in the traditional hypertrophy zone. However, with isometrics, this doesn't really translate to actual hypertrophy work, since the muscle isn't moving through a full range of motion or any range of motion. So the mechanical tension requires for sufficient muscle growth isn't present. For that reason, this range is better considered as endurance oriented. Now we get to the 30 seconds plus range, which is where the focus shifts completely away from strength and body control to instead it's about endurance and holding for time. This range is useful if you just feel a specific muscle burn, like when doing planks or hollow body holds, for that core engagement. More often, it's applied to endurance movements, such as hanging on a bar or holding a handstand for maximal time. Here, the goal isn't to build strength, but simply to sustain the position for as long as possible. But the important question here is how all of this applies to calisthenics. Calisthenics is a strength sport that mostly prioritizes certain static skills, which we want to learn and get stronger at. That's why most of the time we will be training within one of the two strength ranges. But that doesn't mean that the upper ranges don't have value, because sometimes in calisthenics we want conditioning work, or we might get stuck on a specific progression and need to add more seconds to build the volume and really master the position. Okay, now that we understand that, let's talk about how you can measure your holds correctly. Measuring the hold is important because it lets you track your progress accurately and know exactly if you're improving over time. Without this, it's easy to think you're holding more than you actually are, or miss some details in your performance. I personally always recommend recording yourself. That way you can see for sure how long actually you held the move. One common mistake I see is measuring the time on the video. This can be inaccurate. I suggest downloading a free editing app on your phone, like CapCut or even InShot, and measuring your holds frame by frame. Just align the video from the moment you entered the hold to the moment you exited it, and that's how you know precisely how long you held the correct position for. Okay, but now that we have a way to measure after the hold, we also need a way to know in the moment how long are we holding, so we can push ourselves properly. If you don't know, however, if you're at 10 seconds or 15 seconds, it's hard to know if you should push a bit more or stop early. And one thing I don't recommend doing is counting in your head, because that's usually shifts your focus away from the hold itself, and most of the time you'll miscount anyway. Instead, there's two methods I usually suggest. The first one is to just use a timer app on your phone. This app can give you signals on when to start and stop the hold, so you know exactly how long to hold without needing to think about it by just setting the specific time you want on the app. The second option is to just have a partner using a phone timer, and he can call out the time while you're holding. That way you can fully stay focused on the hold itself. But again, if you don't have a partner, the first option works really well. Okay, now that you understand everything, let me give you an example of what I do in my own training. The main thing is that I make sure to record and measure every single set that I do. That way I always know how long I held and need to hold in every single set. I also try to keep around 90% of the sets I'm doing in the 10 to 15 seconds range. I have found that this window gives me enough time to focus on form and control while still keeping the intensity high. But sometimes when I move to a harder progression, I can't hold for the full 10 seconds right away. In those cases, I don't mind dipping under 10 seconds temporarily and just simply trying to build myself up until I can consistently pass 10 seconds with the desired form. This approach keeps my training structured but also flexible, so I can continue progressing without losing focus on what actually matters, which is progressive overload. Okay, now let's enter the most important question: how you can apply this to your own training. Well, I break it down to 3 simple steps. Step 1. Pick the right range for your goals. If your focus is strength and learning skills, stick to the 6 all the way to 15 seconds range. If you need some conditioning or want to add more volume to really master the position, then the 15 to 30 seconds range could be very useful. And after a period of training, you can test your level with holds under 5 seconds to see where you're at or even unlock a new skill. The next step is to measure and track everything. Always record your sets so you know exactly how long you held each position every single time. Use the editing apps so you can measure and know exactly how long you held everything. And make sure to put yourself in real time. Use the app or a partner. And the last step, which is the most simple one, is to just focus on steady progress. Don't always try to move to the next progression if you're not ready. Just make sure you're adding volume each week throughout your sets, and throughout time you'll get stronger and stronger and eventually be strong enough to move to the next step. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you found value in this video. If there is any topic you'd like me to cover, let me know down below. And until then, I wish you all good progress in your training, and I'll see you all next time.